Zach's the kind who prefers to laze around his apartment on a weekend, especially after having a busy week like the last one. The big guy's nowhere in sight, though, when I arrive in his unit. Figures. People don't seem to be where they should be when I need them. For it to happen now of all times, it frustrates me. I can see why Inspector Abigail and Rebecca sometimes tells me I have a temper, though I always tell the latter that it isn't as bad as her fiery streaks. Looking around, I find no sign where he might have gone to. He usually leaves a note on his fridge if he's out for the day, just in case someone drops by. But seeing as there isn't one, he probably just went out for a quick walk. I hope. Maybe he ran out of eggs or something and went to buy some. He is out of eggs, after all. A peek into his fridge confirms this, and it puts my running mind to rest for a while. He always has to have some. Be it for an omelet or something he's baking, the guy always has a baker's dozen. Actually, I can go for a fucking pie right now, but Zach's fridge is next to empty, save for a few leftovers from last night's dinner. All I can do is sigh as I close it behind me. I'm still worried for my friend, of course. The messy bed suggests he was out in a hurry. He didn't even bother to fold the sheets. His cell phone's been left behind as well. Another odd thing when he has made it a habit to never leave it behind in case a client calls.
At least the locked door points to the fact that it wasn't a forced exit.
I can take comfort in that, but not so much. Anything might happen and completely laying my guard down is out of the question. In hindsight, I should have left Rebecca alone too. I'll have to check on her later. In the meantime, there's Zach to worry about. But with no other clue where he is, without his phone with him, I have no choice but to wait. Sure, I can give the room another thorough run-through, but I don't think Zach will appreciate me upending his place. Besides, before I can think of snooping about even more, my stomach growls, reminding me I haven't eaten anything yet today. Might as well cool down a bit, right? Anything to distract myself so that I don't just charge head first because of whatever paranoid scheme comes to mind. Returning to the kitchen, the first thing I see is a bag of chips when I rifle through his cupboards. After muttering a permission and an apology its owner won't hear, I grab it, set myself on his old couch, and turn on the television. Typical cop. Wow. The screen lights up right as some awful noontime drama starts airing on Channel 9. Nothing like sitting in front of the TV with the mindless drone running in the background to waste away the time. And waste it away I do. The afternoon has hit its last few hours when movement comes from the other side of the door, and Zach's heavy treads break the monotonous drivel from the TV. The lock clicks, the knob turns, and slowly it swings open to reveal a very exhausted-looking Zach. What, did he run a marathon?
Sup, Z-Man?
Light as my tone might be, his arrival eases the restless edge in me. Who knows what I would have done if something bad has happened to another one of my friends. Hearing his exasperated response is a good thing, too. If another minute has gone by without him showing up, I might resort to unconventional methods. Thankfully, it doesn't have to come to that.
Ash, how many times do I have to tell you not to call me Z-Man? And stop breaking into my apartment! Call the cops on you, but doing that feels like a joke in itself because you are one.
I didn't. You gave me a key the last time I did that, remember?
After the last one you broke, I can't keep replacing the knob just because you think it'd be amusing to lockpick the hell out of it. And hey, is that my...
It's scary how the friendly banter and easy smile comes naturally.
You ate all of it! I was saving that one for the weekend!
I'll replace it.
I do it, even without thinking. And that speaks volumes about how comfortable I am around him. That's nice, isn't it? What makes me afraid of it, however, is the idea that a time might come where I might just do these on autopilot around him without even meaning to. Offend him in some way. The friendship we have might be closer than most I've shared with others, but there are boundaries you can't cross without the other's permission. Zach's been respectful of that so far, neither asking about my parents or what happened to them. Me? I'll bet he'll say not so much. It's also this easy banter that makes me wish we can just stay like this. No worries, no problems, just potato chips and the debate on whether or not I deserve them. But as always, I have business. As soon as I see the chance, I take it. Straight to the point and asking about the odd things that have been happening lately. I even think about being blunt, bringing up the letter.
You saw me last night at the housewarming party, Ash. Pretty sure I'm doing fine.
I'm not asking about that. Remember the letter thing Isabella's been yapping on about? I'm asking about that kind of odd.
Well, the dreams, they're a lot worse than usual. There's a woman now, ever since we saw that letter. I don't know if it's the same one Isabella talked about. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I really don't want to go back to sleep sometimes. Last night was the worst. Anyway, why are you asking about this?
As expected, as we go through all this, Zach starts to look at me like I've grown a second head. Yeah, I will too. If there's ever a universe where I'm sitting in front of myself, give him a piece of my mind. Insist the rumors surrounding the mansion are nothing but tales, and whatever happened to Isabella, whatever's happening lately, likely has a logical, more grounded explanation. Because yes, I am a skeptic. Even as a child, I never believed in ghost stories. The lucky charms and mystical objects from my mother have often been stored away or given as paltry gifts to those who will appreciate them more. The fact that I'm even considering this is crazy, when every time Isabella has talked about her country's silly superstitions, I'll just brush it off. Point out every inaccuracy I can see until it's all but exhausted. Granted, I haven't eliminated every single possibility here yet, but what else is there to go on off of here? I try to stamp down the annoyance from that thought alone. The worried look Zach shoots my way doesn't help one bit in helping me gather my thoughts either, when that's what I came here for. Somehow everyone's just suddenly so worried about me. Rebecca, the professor, and Zach. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass. If even Rebecca claims there's something shitty going on, I'm inclined to believe there must be a scrap of truth to it. And when I look at those, along with Isabella's warnings, what happened to her? What's occurring around Zach? What has taken place around Luxborn since Isabella found the letter?
Have you seen the news this morning?
His puzzled expression is enough answer. Of course he hasn't. Another night, another nightmare. The guy most likely went out as soon as he got out of bed, to shake the images off. The memories have never really left him, so I show him, cycling through the channels until I find one doing a recap of this morning's reports. And there it is. The poor guy's unidentifiable with how badly his body's been burnt. Murder via arson, that's the logical explanation if I'm the officer looking into it. Except they can't find the source of the fire. The fire didn't even spread.
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxborn police.
They're going to consider spontaneous human combustion soon enough if they don't find anything else. But what's important for everyone to note is the state of the room. Help me repeatedly scrawled around the place.
A similar writing was found in another victim's room from last week's incident. Both were employees of Brier Realty Corporation. LBN has reached out to the...
Like what happened to Cooper. And to Isabella. Hell, I wonder how many other deaths I've missed. How many crime scenes end up in a similar state while I've been looking into right? The LPD's already thinking he's a serial killer at this point. How long until they consult with the London Metropolitan, I'm not sure. The Anselm Butcher has always been an enigma, even to the people within this city. Gone for a few years, then the next, one body after another is found. Merely handling the case has apparently driven the Chief Inspector insane years ago. He never did find out who committed those murders. Maybe now, this time.
You think this is...
I don't know what to think, Zach.
And the next second I'm up on my feet and pacing the span of the small room without thinking about it. My body just needs to be busy, moving about, burning out rather than burning on my own brain out. Sometimes I do both. But moving helps. Keeps the brain running. Healthy body, healthy mind. Or was it the other way around? Fuck, I can't even think coherently right now. I just know there's something. There must be. There has to be.
I should have looked into this when she was still here. Maybe none of this would have happened if I did.
The words slip out of my mouth before I can censor them. The guilt and sorrow, those I won't let others even catch a glimpse of under normal circumstances, all laid bare in this one moment of weakness. Zach will say otherwise. He's always been the optimist, the one who sees the best in people. But such sentiments or any other words of comfort won't change the truth. That a single instance of neglect and indifference has cost me someone dear to me. Again. We've all been given our warning that day, in that desperate pleading tone of hers, and I'm the first one who brushed it off. Still, like the usual, Zach tries. A benefit of the doubt I'm not worthy of.
Rebecca and I are still here. We'll manage, one way or another.
Don't make it sound so easy. We have no idea what we're dealing with here.
This is a whole fucking mess, and we're in it blind. The only way to make it worse is if we start running around like a bunch of headless chickens. But I have a concrete plan now. Aside from those writings, there's another thing linking most, if not all, of those victims. The latter I'll still have to look deeper into, of course. However, this little detail has been bothering me since Inspector Abigail pointed out during briefing. Even the news has picked up on it. Most of the victims are employees of the same company before their untimely deaths. Brier Realty Corporation. Inconsequential when one looks at the grand scheme of things, but maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to find something there. After all, despite the public's inquiries, the company has been quite suspiciously mum about the incidents. No matter where one looks at it, everything they've been doing screams fishy, not just with the fast sale of the mansion. This entire time I've been ignoring it and treating it as a separate matter, but what if? I don't mention all this to Zach, of course. My suspicions are mine for the moment. The details are something he doesn't need to know until I have something to show. It's enough that he's aware that I have an idea in mind. For his part, Zach doesn't push it, and nothing but a heavy silence leads my departure hours later. Though from the looks of it, he has a plan of his own too. This despite my insistence for him to stay put. Zach always means well, but I'll worry less if he's not moving about without my knowledge. There are so many unknown variables at play here already.
This is a really big one, and I'll be damned if I let anything happen to you guys while I sit here. I'm done running when things get tough.
What? You think you have a better plan?
Who knows if it's better? At least it's something.
Which doesn't particularly excite me if I'm going to be honest. I trust him to be reasonable. What I don't trust is the uncertainty that we aren't simply jumping out of a frying pan and into a fire. Anyway, what can I do? Short of cuffing him, which will present problems of its own and leave him terribly vulnerable, it's not like I can keep him leashed. He's an adult, a man of his own. I just hope this whole thing doesn't get any more foobar than it already is.
Do what you want. If you can check in with Rebecca, I'd appreciate it.
I want to say more than that, but I don't want to state the obvious. Zach's not an idiot. He knows I mean more. He knows not to run into things recklessly, a lot more than I do. He knows to keep his lines of communication open, always ready to call for help when he needs it. And he knows not to get in over his head. Seriously, he'll probably make a more responsible police officer than me, if he only has the heart to join the force. We certainly can use more kind people like him. Though as good as that thought is, I push all of it in the back of my mind as I step out on the pavement. Tonight, I can't stay distracted. The drive to BRC is a quiet affair. More so the hour-long wait for the nightfall in an adjacent car park. Even with the radio blasting lively tunes without any suspicious bystanders loitering in the vicinity, the place is rife with tense energy. Only a matter of minutes now. Nevertheless, the ticking sounds do not take away the edge, and for the 5th time since I've arrived, I reach out and fiddle with the radio. Adjusting and turning the knobs, with no real purpose. It's a nervous quirk I've developed and never bothered to correct during stakeouts. With the lack of a friendly conversation to distract, I have nothing else to keep my mind occupied. What I would give to hear Zach's, Rebecca's, or Isabella's voice right now. Scope BRC out, see if the real estate company has any more information that may be of help. That's the plan. There still might be some logical explanation, a human element behind this. Or it is a curse. Nothing's certain at this point in time. The only way to find out is to investigate. Things about Cooper, things about Isabella, the 2 estate agents assigned to the Ermengarde mansion. They've both worked on it before.
Not that one. A name. You mentioned a name. Cook? Combs?
The Cooper woman? Oh yeah, you went there. Christ, Frey, at least check the reports for the other cases. Let's see. Rose Pamela Cooper, real estate agent, found dead in her flat the other day. Same modus operandi. Scene was clean, blood and entrails everywhere, whoop-de-doo, there goes my lunch, and a message written in blood.
The job. Her job. Where did you say she was working?
I didn't say anything. But it's Brier Realty, same one as this girl.
They were the agents who handled the sale of the mansion to the Wrights.
Yep. Big news, that one property. Got a relative working in that real estate company once. He was laid off a year ago, along with a few dozen employees. I actually thought they're about to go under. Guess not. But 2 employees from the same company dead in the span of a week. If I didn't know any better, I'd say they did something fishy with a deal and things somehow got awkward with the client, if you know what I mean. This might be the result.
Sure, I can also check out the situation for full reports. Or I can also check out the station for full reports. See if I might find something new, or if someone else has caught anything that slipped my notice. That's the easy, semi-legal way, but I don't want to bump into Chief right now. The guys at the precinct will definitely throw me out as soon as they see me on his orders. Someone else has probably filled it under the Luke Wright case too for further inspection. I'm not the only one working on it after all, and those are off limits to me now. Yeah, no matter what authority I hold, I'll have to break into my own precinct if I want to so much as take a peek at anything. Not that my plan right now is any better. I'm just breaking into a different place, more or less. Honestly, it's a toss-up between breaking into the office or into the Wright's mansion. News of BRC's downsizing and rumors that they might be going under isn't exactly restricted info. But even someone of Isabella's position within their company has been aware of it. If that's the case, I'll have an easier time getting in here first. After all, why would someone want to break into a realty company? Been here many times before anyway, for a few casual visits when I wanted to bug Scaredy Cat. Over the years, I've more or less grown familiar with their security setup, and how badly staffed their personnel is. Plus, it's an old building, means their access protocols are old if not outdated. Gives me confidence as I exit my car, carefully march towards the building and access the place to find a good point of entry. Assess the place. No side entrances, unfortunately. I'm going to do this the hard way. Sure, they've likely hired a guard, but talking my way through or slipping past should be easy. Those things considered, though, it feels like this might go smoothly. Except nothing ever does, and short of stepping into the building's lobby, a different voice blasts from the nearby intercom. Gruff, still rough with sleep, a man likely in his late 40s to early 50s speaks from the other line, possibly the one currently assigned to the night shift.
And where do you think you're going, young man?
Hey there, sir. A nice night we're having, eh?
Hello yourself. It's late. Most offices in this building have already closed up shop for the weekend.
He seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be the wary sort for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face and aloof air won't hurt, until I figure out how to wiggle myself out of the situation. Just come back on Monday if you have important business. He's probably been working here for a few months already. I'll give it about 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise he would have recognized me. At first glance, I haven't shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of their security officers ever lasted a year in service. Longest was around 7.5? I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job. For the moment, his too friendly attitude is almost a gift.
Really? Damn. Boss man won't be too happy to hear that.
Boss man?
Sorry, it's my boss, Mr. John. He asked me to get a few things from his table. Important work stuff, you know.
John? From Brier Realty?
The one and only. But, this sucks. I didn't realize the office closes early on weekends. Shouldn't have stayed for another movie. Damn. I'm gonna get an earful later. New hire, you see?
Good thing Isabella has been quite open with stories from her office, no matter how mundane they are. Granted, she rarely talks about her boss, but what I've gleaned from it is enough to fabricate a decent, believable story. Sure enough, he buys it.
You new hires are always so dumb and clueless, I swear. You guys come and go a lot these days, but I suppose that's because they pay you a lot less in commission than the older agents, huh?
You can say that again. But it's nothing hard work can't fix.
Sure, you can do that. This branch stays afloat.
What do you mean?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
Patience is the key. I can't rush this one or else he'll get suspicious. Or I might make a mistake. Besides, if I'm going to be stuck in here with him for a while, I might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may just be a guard, someone with no real authority, but most of the time people like him are the ones who know more than they let on. A few carefully worded phrases is usually enough to get them talking, so long as you appear friendly and pretend like you're not smart enough or too interested.
Yeah, but even before that, we've got a couple of good blokes we never saw again. There was this one kid too, Santillion? Sanchez?
Santos. He means Isabella.
Really? Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
Dunno, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Oh, seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. You're the third newbie he's sent running errands this week. I can't keep letting you all in after office hours. I'll get in trouble too, you know?
Come on, just a few minutes.
There's a long pause from his end, as if he's contemplating his options. When they turn like this, a little push is all it needs before they give in.
You know how fickle the boss's moods can be.
Well, yeah, but
please? I really need to get those files to him tonight.
All right. Go ahead. Swear you young ones have no respect for authority. Use the side entrance. I've already locked up the main door. I'm not gonna open that even if you give me puppy eyes.
Thanks. I owe you one.
Using the side door presents a different problem, however. It needs an access card, one I don't have. I can always pry it open and use a gecko, but right under the guard's watch? That's a surefire way to blow my cover.
There's just this one problem.
What is it again?
I forgot my access card.
I make a show of facing the security cameras, pulling my empty pockets out, presenting him the sorriest look I can muster.
Bloody hell, kids these days.
Is there any way for you to...
Boy, you're lucky I'm nice.
Or stupid. One of the two.
I'll go and unlock the side entrance for you then. You can use my card on the front desk. You'll need to beep in when you report for proper work on Monday, though. And don't forget to turn off the lights before you leave, Kate?
He cuts off the connection before I can thank him. Soon the latch clicks and the nearby side door swings open, waiting for me. The guard, a stout man wearing a uniform still too loose for him, waves me over from the gap before he disappears behind a station again. Just my luck. Here I thought I'd have to use unconventional methods. Sure, I'll be getting the guy in trouble. I kind of feel sorry for that. But it's not like he's keeping the job for long, if he's always letting people in like that. If BRC doesn't have long either, he's going to go job hunting sooner or later anyway. He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If I were someone else, someone with ill intentions, he might not be smiling at the end of the day. Of course, as I step into the building and grab his access card, I try to push all these concerns as far down as I can. I need to focus. Work is work. No time to think about other stuff, when I might have a bigger problem at hand. Although if this is a sign of things to come, then maybe things are indeed looking up. It's a quiet ride up to the 7th floor, where the BRC Luxborn main office is. Seb, according to his access card, has been kind enough to switch the elevator's power on just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs. Which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs? I don't want to tire out too quickly in case things get ugly. There probably won't be any trouble with the building this quiet, but you never know. Besides, the whole place still feels eerie this time of night. The occasional thought of ghosts lurking about certainly doesn't help. Though there is no wind, I swear I can hear whispering. Every shadow is suspect. With the low light, every time I see my reflection is a daunting affair. I have to firmly remind myself, until I've confirmed anything, those are still just stories. Worse things can happen, no need to scare myself with whatever image my head conjures. I have a mission. Going about it as calmly as I can means fewer mistakes.
Oh, I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. Best thing that can come out of this is that Isabella was right all along. That this whole fiasco does point to a curse, and I make sure nobody else dies to the damn thing. Worst case scenario? I find evidence that will implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime, and my meddling, if I'm not careful enough to hide my tracks, makes it inadmissible in court. Or is it the other way around? Both certainly don't sound better than the other, though right now the latter seems very enticing to wish for. In the first place, this whole deal with curses is crazy. I'll be honest. I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is all my friends have claimed they've seen. At least if there will be problems with the former, I can always work around it. Fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work with them? Probably not. I'm crazy just going here, but what choice do I have? I can't just say, oh, hey Chief, you know about those strange incidents lately? It's probably a curse or a ghost or something like that.
Yeah, not going to happen.
This whole thing has already spiraled out of our hands. This is simply damage control, working with what I have and I can still do, get to the bottom of this and see how I can fix this whole mess. If I do it without anybody knowing, without leaving a trail, all the better. It's a good thing that's what I'm good at. Half-baked knowledge unlocked. The immediate area beyond the elevator doors sees the agent stations. There's a lot more to the floor, of course, but the first order of business is as soon as I'm in, locate the records room, then the security. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office, a force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Luxborn used to own this whole building. Offices in several floors once upon a time, when real estate is still a lucrative business for the company, on this side of the country. Then competition showed up and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It only got worse as the years went by, or so according to the rumors. Years later, the whole of the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign in the building's facade implies. Frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. Almost empty in every sense of the word. Not only because it's beyond business hours, but most of the cubicles are devoid of any signs that speaks about their owners. Desks have been cleaned out. Not even a single indication of the person who worked there remains, with exception for the occasional company notice left behind tacked on the wall. Personal mementos are scarce, as if they've gone through a mass exodus. That'll be the downsizing. Probably. With what's in the news, what happened to Isabella, it's impossible for my mind not to speculate and veer off to more ominous territory. Searching for what I need would be a whole lot easier if Isabella were here. She'd tell me more about what plagues my curiosity as well as she has always been. With what's in the news, what happened to... Okay, I don't know why this line repeated. Searching for what I need would be a whole lot easier if Isabella were here. She'd tell me more about what What? I don't know why okay. She'd always been...
Focus, Frey. There's no point in whining or dwelling any longer on it. That's why I'm here in the first place.
Without her, I'll just have to investigate and find out the old-fashioned way. I'm a detective, aren't I? Even if it means having to read through a shit ton of real estate papers and documents I normally won't be interested in.
Besides, the longer I take here, the riskier the situation becomes.
With that in mind, I immediately get to work. On the far wall of the main workspace, plaques label most of the doors for easy identification. The staff lounge and the branch manager's offices are places I'm familiar with, and they're easily the most accessible of the private rooms. To the right of the manager's office is the media room and human resources. To its far left, the records, followed by security further back. Easy as pie. What will be tricky is getting inside both rooms. Gingerly, I check on the security room first. The fact that no one has walked out when I entered means the room is either empty or their guards sound asleep. I'm banking more on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I have no doubt in my mind they've fired the guy stationed in here, if they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place. It's a rather common thing for establishments. Just leave security recording indefinitely and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ears against the door, listening for a sign of anyone occupying the room. After a long minute of nothing, not even the sound of someone's breathing, I move back towards the records door and give its knob a few rattles. Time to get to work.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary, and with a search warrant. Even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. Subtlety isn't on a cop's priority. If they have the authority to search the premises, bolt cutters and brute force are the favored methods. If those fail, we call a locksmith. Me, I prefer the good old hairpin trick, when those options aren't available. Besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull off a pair of bobby pins. Two of these I can just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever and the other makes a handle. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. It's a good thing I practiced them a bit in my college years. I learned more when they're accessible and standard issue for a law enforcement officer. A wiggle here, a click there, and I managed to seize all the pins in the locking mechanism soon enough. Yeah, picking a lock is not actually that easy. With a slight turn of the knob, the records room's ripe for the picking.
Easier said than done. Now, where should I start looking?
The property files will probably be my best bet. Pull up the Emergard Mansion's documents and go on from there. Look into the project and the people who worked on it, including Isabella and Rose Cooper. The signing forms from the open house can help me track the clients. But it's a little too far-fetched to think those people will be affected in some way. Isabella has already found the letter by the time the open house has started. Should there be people from their guests who have been affected, it would have been news now. Besides, out of all the visitors, it's only with the right couple Isabella and Cooper has had a notable interaction with. Something that has led to the sale of the mansion. So for the next half of the hour, I work in complete silence, digging into every property files compiled in the Ermengarde Mansion folder. The client files I leave alone, like the sign-in forms. Better narrow this down as early as possible. my best bet are still the people who've worked closely with Cooper, Isabella, and BRC itself. After all, that's where the connection is. Still not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is. Just the correspondence and contracts for the restoration alone make up a stack of papers that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired by for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, and plaster work, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, every single contractor working the project is individually listed, even if they're just there to do the plumbing. It's a high-profile and high-cost estate, alright, but with that scope comes the loopholes. Means plenty of room to hide something in, if there's something fishy going on. All I have to do is read through it, find a pattern that will prove or refute my suspicions. And it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, you'll be surprised if they manage to break even on the Ermengarde mansion. What with the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and overhead fees. At one point, the negotiations to get it listed under BRC's name almost broke down too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraiser suggested. This plus the idea that their branch is closing. It won't be too far-fetched to think BRC Luxborn really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Sheesh, this place is just unlucky. Going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening?
But this isn't what I'm looking for. What I need is the who. The people aside from Isabella and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion, and the how they are now. I can't do much with the outside contractors. They won't be on file as employees. Still, leave no stone unturned. Look at their names, see if anything jogs my memory. Get a copy of said names so that we can look up their contract details, check if anything comes from that. Aside from those, I don't dwell much on these. The employee list stands for the most important out of everything. Because if Isabella is to be believed, if what she's seen and what happened to Rose Cooper is because of that letter, I need to know everyone who has possibly read it aside from the three of us. I also need to confirm if they've been noticing strange things too. For all I know, these may have just been a terrible coincidence, although the thought of that starts to diminish as I dig into the BRC company's files. Turns out, there have been 2 more employees who directly handled the mansion aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius Jean-Marie, the estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him acting all crazy and had to take him in when he started getting violent. Kept screaming about a woman. It was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long. A few hours in, he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and well, it was messy to say the least. Guy's in the hospital right now, and I heard they're looking into putting him in a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. Within the company's records, he's been marked AWOL. Jean-Marie, on the other hand, his employee file marks the date of leaving, and even his full payment had been given. Along with it, a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. Communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail has often scolded me for not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This has never reached the police's ears, or the health and safety executive.
Business going under and someone dies while working here? Of course they want to keep that quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing is just getting freakier by the minute.
I continue flipping through the documents for a while more. It's a quarter of an hour later when I put the papers down with a sigh and begin placing the folders back where they belong. Aside from those 2, I found nothing else of note. I feel like I'm missing a lot of things here. But it's about time I leave. I've taken too long. Hastily, I put everything in a copier and make a short work of creating duplicates out of everything I've deemed important. The pages with the names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. I'll start with the ones who live within the city. Once I finish with the copier, I tuck the duplicates under my arm and bring the originals back to their proper place. With that done, I lock the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. I have my work cut out for me. It's not like I can ask for backup from the force. Whatever. This isn't the time to think. Now, onto the next order of business. Removing the evidence of my little excursion in here, Can't have my face plastered on security footage showing me breaking the law as it were. I'm gonna have to wipe the data for Seb's access card entries too, so I won't incriminate the poor guy. Same with the records, the security is also using a standard lock and key. Good thing my trusty bobbies are always here for me. Without much difficulty, I find myself facing the security monitors. The room's odor hits me first. A sharp, nauseating stench, as if someone has accidentally spilled a gratuitous gallon of bleach in the room. I spent a copious amount of time in morgues, labs, hospitals, and crime scenes, but this is downright nasty. Regardless of how desensitized I've grown to certain smells, a whiff of the air in this room just burns the lungs. When was the last time they opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
And he's just talking about how the techs smell. This is probably because of a badly botched effort to clean the place up. Even in the dark, I can spy disgusting stains on the walls. I really don't have time to try and decipher what they are, though. Can't play is this ketchup or soda right now. But I have the strange gut feeling who the mess might belong to. As expected, no security personnel means the office's CCTV controls and the standalone DVR setup is open for anyone. Normally I'd have a heap of things to say about this sloppy security setup, but right now their negligence makes the whole task of erasing evidence easier. It's as simple as going into the menu, searching for the file for tonight's recording, and, well, deleting it.
No fuss, no muss.
The next one should be the access card data. Hopefully getting into their computer won't be too much of a hassle. Everything up to now has been smooth sailing. There have been hiccups, I'll give it that, though it does nothing to dampen the good mood I'm in. Once I shift my attention to the machine sitting next to the DVR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I'm no computer buff, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old. Simply looking at it makes me feel younger. I have no choice, however, unless I pull the douche car and leave Seb to whatever trouble he might get into. Unfortunately, I don't have the heart for such a thing. After all the help the old man has unknowingly lent me tonight. With a heavy sigh, I power it up and mentally prepare myself for a slow slug. Slow apparently remains an understatement here. It takes a whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The OS hasn't even started loading, and in my boredom I started inspecting the live feeds from the cams. Only 2 of them works. One for the view outside. Everything seems to be in order there. And the other for the main workplace where... It's a fleeting glimpse. A cursory glance, but the sight of it stops me. The image is a bit blurry, but standing there, right in the middle of the room by one of the cubicles, I can make out the form of a person.
What the hell is...
I don't get too far into that line of thought. You know, a few seconds after my words have slipped out without any sort of warning while I'm still trying to make sense of what it is. The figure moves. Not across the office floor, but right towards the camera. Gradually as it nears, her features grow clearer. Deathly pale skin and hair like ink, too real and too close, stands out in stark contrast to the images shown on the monitor. A moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera. Like a damn rookie, I go still in the face of danger. Nothing but an odd clicking noise and the pounding of my own heart echoes in my eardrums. I definitely have been trained to handle the supernatural, and this is one, isn't it? And... oh, fuck. Her eyes bore into me, the malice in them piercing. Even beyond the screen, it's enough to make me go numb. Only the mug crashing to the floor, my hand accidentally swipes it, snaps me out of the trance. Without second thought, I back away from the controls, from the room, ready to be done with this place. But before my foot even crosses the threshold, without any sort of warning, she disappears from the screen.
Son of a...
Instinct instantly takes over, and my hand quickly reaches for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. Though authorized, I always leave it in my car. A mistake that cost me a few precious seconds, while the paperwork I brought with me threatens to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering them in myself once more with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next, and I lunge towards the door. I sprint across the office floor without daring to look back. As soon as I push myself out of the office, I practically throw myself into the open elevator and slam the button for the ground floor. Why would you go in the elevator? A sigh of relief escapes my lips and the elevator starts its descent. The clicking noise that seems to announce the ghost's presence fades off into the distance. Shifting the stack of papers under my arm, I lean back and wait in an attempt to compose myself. Breathe. In, out. In a matter of seconds, the elevator stops and the doors open. Instead of stopping at the ground floor, however, it completely skips, and just drops me into the building's basement. There's a moment's pause while I take in my surroundings. Confusion's understandably there, along with frustration.
Are you kidding me? They should just replace this whole thing.
I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor, though. But it's an old building. The elevator always did have problems when I visited in the past. It probably didn't register right when I pressed the floor number. Even Isabella becomes so angry whenever we try to get to her floor, and she'll have to repeatedly smash the button for the elevator to even move. That was always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. All of it completely changes when I hear a clicking noise again. From the distance, beyond the light's reach, echoing in my ears along with a rapid pounding in my chest.
Anyone there?
No answer.
I can hear you moving from here. Show yourself.
No response. Only the soft sound of something scurrying around the floor and the walls in slow, deliberate movements. Faint, though still audible enough in this hush. Until it stops. A moment. And then... a wail. This time I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my tray, my whole body stiffens. Hands stilling mid-press on the buttons, eyes growing wide while waiting for any sort of movement from further back, and ears strained for the source of the sound. Much as I hate to admit it, dread has seeped into every nerve in my body. And the blasted elevator still won't work, no matter how many times my thumb presses on it.
This isn't in my fucking training manual.
Another serious shuffling against the ground. A laughter, and all of a sudden, she's just there. A small, grotesque form lingering at the far end of the basement on all fours. Like a twisted spider, she stares at me, the look of hunger in her eyes and venom in the twisted manner she smiles. A glee she has well earned, when I'm a damn fly that's been dropped right onto the spider's web.
Damn it! Damn it!
Without warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurried crawl she takes, knowing I'm at her mercy when she makes her approach.
Fucking hell! Work, you stupid!
But this isn't funny. My life is in the hands of a crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death whether or not this stupid thing works. I'm not going to die here. Not in a damn elevator. So, like usual, we're gonna throw the first one. So I guess you just have to hit the number combination. Out of curiosity, I want to see. It looks like my number pad doesn't do it. Hey, we got a CG. So now you guys know I'm not crazy when I talk about this. As if a divine power has heard me swearing up a storm in my head, the doors close just as that thing looms near. Soon the elevator, the blasted thing, is headed up. And this is the most I've been tired in my whole damn life. Not during training when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not after a stakeout. Okay, so real quick I went back and checked. That elevator QuickTime event did not record properly, so I'm gonna have to see what I can salvage from it, but yeah. I don't really want to go back and go through this 40-minute section just to get to that again. You can see the ending, you can see the game over screen, which is what's important. And I think you had to do it like 3 or 4 times for it to work, but we'll just move forward. But after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly, I slumped to the ground, worn out. But I don't let myself feel relief again. Not until I'm out of here. Still, I find myself letting out a shaky laugh.
Fuck, I should have taken the goddamn stairs.
I know. Twice I've seen it. Thrice if I include the party, unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it. There's no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. I seriously don't want to believe it. But with the truth staring at me in the face, it'll be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. As soon as the lift hits the ground floor and the door slides open, I hightail it out of the building. Seb sound asleep when I pass by his station. However, in the face of what I've seen, everything I face tonight, I really can't care less who'll still see me on my way out. The sooner I get away from this place, the farther, the better. I'm just not sure if that also means being safe. She almost got me, damn it. Fucking thing almost had me. Hell, I haven't even sorted out everything right inside my head right now. All I can see is her face, her horrid smell as she's about to reach us. Shit. It was only by luck that I managed to get the fucking elevator unstuck. Had the blasted thing not worked in the last second. I need some air. Fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. I'm panicking. Christ. Losing focus. I can't afford that right now. I can't lose it when Zach and Rebecca might be in trouble as well.
Remember your training, Frey.
Another deep breath, and soon I'm starting the engines of my car and driving off. After that little incident in the elevator, somewhere open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. Luxbourne Park during the nighttime brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has seeped into my bones is still there, furling and unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths. Just how many copies of the letter are there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Could it be that the one she has shown us is just one of 5, maybe even more? That whole pass this to 5 people business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? All in all, I found 2 deceased people who might have read the letter, 4 if we count Cooper as well as Isabella. And that's only what I can find right now. I have no idea how the contractors and specialists hired from outside the company are doing, if they are in any way affected. How many more people are suffering? How many are missing? How many are dead? Can I even blame the Wrights for this anymore? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit. Still so many things we need to look into. Yet all my body wants to do is pace, tread the park grounds, and burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit.
Of course, the panic passes soon, replaced by another tense silence as everything sinks in. The awareness of the much bigger trouble looming over me. Us. We're in deep shit and it's finally caught up with me and hit me like a ton of bricks. Because Isabella has been warning us since day one, and I'm the first person who brushed it off. Suddenly exhausted, I slump down on a bench and bury my face in my hands, as every regret bears down on me. In the stillness of the park, a whispered plea slips out.
Isabella, what am I supposed to do? Tell me, please.
A desperation. After all my failures, after all the things I've disregarded, all at the cost of people I care about. Darkness blurs the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me apart from one. There is only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Morning breaks in a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that has driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slow and sluggish, as I blink away the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. The early morning light already streams from the open windows, when the memory sets in and the room I'm in finally comes into focus. Not a room. My car. I've bunkered down here last night after my nerves calmed. When you almost get trapped in a confined space, there's no question about staying somewhere open. Not again. She might appear any time. She won't catch me off guard again. That woman. Is she still one in the first place? One that we'd normally call a human. Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain? Fuck, I'd take breaking and entering charges over where she was any day. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly toward the mess of papers I've gathered from BRC last night. A proof that none of it is a dream, no matter how much I wish for it. And they repeat that again. Then it shifts to the view outside, right to the line of trees and winding pathways. There are some already strolling about the place. A few people here and there dotting the space my eyes can reach, but otherwise the whole park is empty. Quiet. For some reason I can't stand the silence right now. Now when that woman's face has been burned in my eyelids. Whenever I close my eyes, I see her. It's a miracle I'm still able to get a few hours of sleep, even with that horrid laughter of hers still ringing in my ears. But then, maybe it's simply my exhaustion at work. You think I'm used to going 48 hours, maybe even more, without rest. And I am. But what happened at BRC has shaken me up like nothing else has. Thugs and criminals, hell, even crime lords I can deal with. But ghouls and the undead?
Well, I didn't sign up for that.
Seriously, this better not be the start of some sort of zombie apocalypse. Actually, maybe a zombie thing would be preferable. I'd at least know what I need to do. Shoot dead stuff until they're dead for good and leave figuring out how everything went to hell to the scientists.
Thinking about it won't change anything, though. She's just toying with our lives.
She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her and this curse, we'll definitely be pushing daisies soon. I can't let what happened to Isabella happen to the others as well. I've dallied on this long enough, left all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've given me. I do admit I'm afraid, but beneath the terror, adrenaline keeps me running, compels me to take action, to do something. I still have 2 other people I need to check with. Isabella would definitely get in a tizzy if I don't check on them. God, I should have listened to Isabella. Maybe I don't need to outright believe her, but I should have listened. Then maybe she wouldn't be... There's no point in dwelling on what-ifs and should-haves. I can't do anything about the past. What I should be caring about is what might happen. That I can do something about. With one last sigh, I start my car and slowly pull off the parking lot. Zach has already been warned yesterday. I trust him not to do anything stupid. Rebecca, on the other hand, we ended on a bad note last time. Might as well mend things with her first. Cold Luxborn air meets me upon slipping out of my car. Not unusual in itself, this is what Luxborn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not, terribly damp with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky's still clear, but I'll give it a day or two before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rain for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in the world, when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare. That's probably all this is. Usually I'll say I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years, just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I haven't been running away and ignoring things. Hiding them someplace no one will see, because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness. Z-Man has mentioned dreaming about a woman. Whether it's the same one we've been seeing, I have yet to ask. Bottom line, he likely knows as much about this as I do. Isabella already died because of it. Yet here I am, walking up Becca's door one slow step at a time. A stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this? When there's a 90% chance she's still pissed about a whole different matter. It's the only reason I didn't check on her last night. I'll only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like a babbling lunatic. And her anger can last quite a while. These past years, it seemed the only one she'd been able to easily forgive was Isabella. Kinda wish she were here to help me talk to her. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, and 3 times just to be sure Becca has heard me, even if she is asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that. This doesn't quite make sense to me. The feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. I think there's something missing here. The feeling I have been doing that quite frequently since last night? Man, the proofreading just went to hell in this chapter. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door. Louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
My hand pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole too. Course of action. So people like him won't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. Has done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know, some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear from inside the four walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so. But at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing continuing down increasingly darker line of thoughts. To act brashly, to find out where she is and go straight there without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to both of them should do the trick. It relieves my nerves at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it isn't, anxiety from concern dulls judgment. Sometimes I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Pulling up my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach's, Rebecca's, and Isabella's numbers listed. The last one I don't have the heart to remove yet. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sort of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day, these guys are just there. Next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingered in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your off day without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose the rest of them to some stupid curse. I've already lost one. A phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her, but she isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people who were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head-on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sounds alone might be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2. goes straight to her voicemail. A cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Interesting voicemails. Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. Far too long that anybody else will have fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Act 2, of course. I'll always be thankful for having him around. There had been Isabella as well. Her presence in my life will always be immutable, even if she's no longer here. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful memories as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues. I have too many of them to count and refuse to deal with for a time. At least that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor mostly. But at times, I do wonder if it still burns me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustration towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it, from my old friends back in my old school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was a little selfish bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me, stamped me on my little sulk as she often phrases it whenever she sees the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit too overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, then my third call I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand. That guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca, the four of us, but I've still gotta check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay, at the very least, whatever he's planning on doing. All I'm asking is for it to not be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things. Rational or irrational, it doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers, or his voicemail at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Very interesting voicemails. Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to change it, to charge it. Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or power bank in his bag if he ever needs it, and he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite a roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him, Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile is in an out-of-range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake me off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. Even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to try to offer help or do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to... Well, I can't be rash, I'm aware of that. Been running around the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he is needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, some part of me is still that rookie. But I've grown thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than that. A camaraderie no words can express. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having, only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's now with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing for his phone another 3 times like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them, just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Isabella's death has proven that. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling causing a racket inside my stomach. It still annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxborn and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. Well, you might run into Rebecca splattered on the sidewalk, but you never know. The city is a too big place for one person to go searching for only 2 people.
That'd be like finding a needle in a haystack.
With one last frustrated glance towards the open skies, I prepare myself for the long wait. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so, when it's the people you care about. And sure enough, boredom strikes minutes later, followed closely by anxiety. I need to be doing something, but what? I've already gone through those papers from the BRC last night, twice in fact, and I'm still at a dead end. If Rebecca were here... Hell, if Isabella were still here... Unconsciously, my attention drifts towards the closed door of her apartment, and it hits me the second my eyes land on it. A split second of idea. I didn't bother looking into this when we were here the other day, considering the reason, or even during the investigation. But Cooper died. Isabella would have likely received all the files for the Immergard mansion. In fact, she might not need to. They were partners, right? It's no longer a trainee-mentor thing. They both likely have the same copies of the documents. She might still be keeping some in her room. Something she hadn't been able to give us because of the tragedy. However, immediately after that thought forms, guilt also rears its head. The fact that I'm thinking about breaking into her apartment leaves an uneasy twinge in my stomach. It's wrong. All of it is wrong. Inappropriate on so many levels of propriety I adhere to. If she's here, I won't even consider this. Really, now. But if she's here, will she allow it? My gaze swivels back to the door. It's as if the thing's inviting me. One thing's for sure, however. Knowing her, she'll do any possible means if it'll save her friends from this curse. She can be stubborn like that sometimes, and it's enough to harden my resolve. So muttering a silent apology to her, and and swallowing my guilt, I reach up for my bobby pins and begin my work on the lock. In under a minute, the knob will click, and I quietly slip into her apartment. Whatever I'm to find at the end of this, I hope it'll point me in the right direction.